Aloha, everybody. How are you? Happy Thursday. Scooby says hi. Hope you're doing well. Hey, we have a test coming up on Tuesday. So pay attention to your warm-ups. The warm-ups make the homework easy. And the homework and the warm-ups make the tests easy, right? And try to challenge yourself to ask your teacher a question today or tomorrow about something that maybe doesn't make sense, and then do it again Monday. And then you should be really prepared for a test if you do those things. All right, copy it down. Go try these things, come back and see how you did, okay? Let's go ahead and put the date on here so we don't forget what day it is, right? Thursday, February 18th, all day long, right? Wow, 18th. We got 10 more days left in February. All right, what two numbers have a product of 10 and a sum of 7? Oh, that one's going to be the easier one in the bunch, right? Those are whole numbers, 2 and 5. All the rest we have whole numbers times mixed numbers. Okay, so that's a hint for you. Okay, what do we have here? Well, double the 4, or double the 2 and get 4. Take half of the 5, I get 2 and 1/2. 4 times 2 1/2 is 10, and 4 plus 2 1/2 is 6 1/2. Now on this one, it's not doubling that. I'm not doing that. This one is just going to be 3 times 3. Now that's only 9, and that's only 6. But guess what? 3 1/3. Now I have 3 3s is 9. 3/3 is 1 whole. 9 and 1 is 10. And 3 plus 3 1/3 is 6 1/3. On this one, a little tougher, 8 plus 1 1/4 is 9 1/4. And when I go 8 times 1 1/4, I have 8 ones is 8, and 8 fourths. What is 8 fourths equal to? Well, that's the same as 4 fourths and 4 fourths, right? And that's 1 and that's 1. So 4 fourths is 1, 8 fourths is 2. And again, you can also change that 8 fourths by dividing the bottom into the top, and it's a perfect fit. Okay, so find the height using algebra. Yikes, what are you doing to us, Mr. Daniel? Well, you can do this. Remember, the area of a triangle equals 1/2 times the base times the height. And remember, when we're looking at area, we're often looking for the two lines that make the right angle. And when you make this symbol, it makes this look like a big H. So that's the height. Okay. Now, if I was getting the perimeter, I'd care about that 3 and 4, but I'm not. I'm just getting the area. So all I care about is the 10 and the H. Now, remember, why is it 1/2 the base times the height? Because if I cloned that triangle and put it upside down, I could make a parallelogram. And we know the area of a parallelogram is how wide is it times how tall is it. And you're saying, well, what about, how does that work? Well, again, a parallelogram, if you chop off the triangle, that angle's the same. So you can bring it over here and you turn it into a rectangle, and you know a rectangle. You always know a rectangle. It's how wide, it's just the two sides, right? How wide is it times how tall is it? Now, how tall is it is a side for a rectangle. It's not for a parallelogram. All right, here we go. So what am I doing? I'm saying 4 times h equals the area if I take half of it. So 1/2 of 4 times h. Sorry, that's not 4. How wide is it? 1/2 of 10 times the height equals 12.5. That is my algebra problem, right? Now, again, I'm going to go ahead and find out what is half of 10. 1/2 of 10 is 5. So I have 5h equals 12.5. And again, what's my goal here? To find out what h is, to isolate the variable. 5h, 5 times h is the same as h times 5. How do I get rid of that times 5? Well, I divide by 5. All right, that is the inverse operation. If I did that, those two would cancel out, but I can't do it to one side. Always remember, do the same thing to the other side. That way things stay in balance. Okay. Now these two things cancel each other out. I have h on that side. This side I have 12.5 divided by 5. Put that inside the box. And when you have a decimal inside the box and you go to divide, all you do is bring it straight up. That's all you got to worry about. It's a little tougher when you have a decimal outside. We'll talk about that next week. Okay. All right. So what are you doing here? 5 goes into 12 twice. 2 times 5 is 10. Put that here. What do I do now? Hopefully you said subtract. Now what do I do after I subtract? Write down the next number. And 5 goes into 25 5 times. So h equals 2.5. Are you done? Well, I should go back and double check and do 5 times 2.5 and make sure that equals 12.5. And you can check that on your back, on the back, and then when you're done, pat yourself on the back for being so conscientious. Okay, but I don't want this to be too long because I don't want people to look at the time and say, oh, that's too long, I'm not going to do that one. Right, so we're going to go a little quicker. So on this one, the area is 108, okay, and the area is just the base times the height. What's the base? I don't know. It's not written there. Well, it's a parallelogram. If that's 12, this is 12. Do I care about that 11? No, because when I make that into a rectangle, that 11's in the middle. I care about the height. So what we have here, we have the height times 12 equals 108. Now I want to get h by itself isolated. Remember, isolate the variable. So I have to get rid of that times 12. How do you get rid of it? Times 12? Well, hopefully you said divide by 12. And if I divide that by that side by 12, I'm going to follow the bracelet, follow the rule on the bracelet, and I'm going to divide the other side by 12. Now, divided by 12 times 12, they cancel each other out. All that's left over here is h, and I have to figure out how many 12s go into 108. And if you're good at your 12s, or if you know where your composition book is, it has the multiplication chart in there, you can say 12 goes into 108 perfectly 9 times. Okay? Have those things handy if you don't have your facts memorized. And here in America, it pays to learn the 12s. Why? Because there's 12 inches in a foot, and that'll come up a lot. Okay. All right. Done with the hard ones. Now you just got easy ones left. 56.7 minus 2300. All you got to do is stack them one on top of another and line up the decimal. Now, when I've done that, this looks a little weird because that 3 comes out past where the 7 does. It's coming out to the hundreds place. That only comes out to the tenths. So what do? I put a 0 in the hundreds place. Decimal comes straight down. And now I got to borrow, right? 10 minus 3, 6 minus 2, 56 minus 0. 56.47 is your answer on that. Box your answer. Box your work of the problem. Okay. What does this mean? It means multiply, right? So I'm going to multiply. I'm going to pretend it's 78 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 7 is 21 plus 2, 23. 234. But I had to move the decimal over one spot to pretend that was a 78, and I had to move it over 2 spots to pretend that was a 3. So that's a total of 3 spots in my problem. I have to go back 3 spots in my answer. 0.234, 234 thousandths. Box your answer, box your work. All right, 6.3 minus 7.5. You can't do that. 7.5 is bigger. So what do? Here's what you do. You're going to just subtract 6.3 from 7.5 and know that your answer is negative, right? 8 minus 2 is 6. 2 minus 8 is negative 6. right? 11 minus 5 is 6. 5 minus 11 is negative 6. 22 minus 3 is 9. Sorry, is 19. 19 minus 22 is negative 3, right? So it's just going to be negative. I'm going to go ahead and do 7.5 minus 6.3, and I get 1.2. So 7.5 minus 6.3 is 1.2. 6.3 minus 7.5 is negative 1.2. Now, I don't know why Mr. Daniel would do such a thing and throw in a problem like that when you've never seen a problem like that before, right? Decimals and yeah, here's why. Okay, on tonight's homework, you have that problem. Okay, so hey, you're doing this and you're thinking, not all the kids do this warm up. Am I a sucker? No. Yeah, I'm helping you. By the way, tonight's homework, this right here, yeah, yesterday's warm up. Yesterday's warm up had those. 3 of those 4. Check it out. Do the warm up. Homework's easy. All right, here we are. 7 plus negative 8. I have 7 plus I owe 8 total. I'm going to pay all 7. I'm still going to owe 1. Negative 3 plus 7. I owe 3, but I have 7. I have way more than I owe. I can pay all 3 I owe and still have 4 left. Positive, right? Similar problem. Here I go. This is a negative. This is a positive. So I'm going to subtract that, all right, because I have more than I owe. So I'm going to go ahead and write 9 and 7 ninths minus 6 and 4 ninths. And 7 minus 4 is 3 ninths. 9 minus 6 is 3. Now, if this was your answer and you couldn't find a match, it was like multiple choice, what do? Well, you check your work and then see if you can simplify. If you ever can't find your answer, see if you can simplify your answer. See how 3 goes into the top and bottom? So this is going to simplify to 1/3 because 3 goes into 3 one time, goes into 9 3 times. So 3 and 1/3 is your answer. It's a better answer than 3 and 3 ninths because it's simplified. All right, last couple. Here you're going to rewrite as a mixed number or an improper fraction. That is a mixed number, whole number and a fraction. So I'm going to write it as an improper fraction. How do you do that? C method. Watch me make the C. I start at the bottom, make a giant C. Now I'm going to times and add. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7 over what? What I started with. Now, why does that work? Again, each of these 3's, 1, 2, 3 is 2 halves. So I go 2 times 3 is a total of 6 halves plus the 1 extra. That's why it works, okay? So you want to understand how it works, but you also just want to understand, hey, how do I do this? Yeah, C method to change a mixed number. So what am I doing here? I'm going 5 times 4 plus 2. 20 plus 2, 22. What goes on the bottom? The same thing that was on the bottom. You don't change the denominator when you're doing these. Both changing from an improper to a mixed number or a mixed number to an improper fraction. The denominator is going to stay the same. So what do I do here? Divide the bottom into the top. 5 into 18. How many 5s fit into 18? 5, 10, 15. 3 times, right? 3 times 5 is 15. What do I do? Now, when we're doing this, I can take my remainder and put it on top. What was on the bottom when I started goes on the bottom. 3 and 3/5. 4 into 21. How many times? It goes 5 times, right? Because 5 times 4 is 20. My remainder goes on top. What was on the bottom of the denominator, the divisor, goes on the bottom. Now you want to double check these. Divide the bottom into the top here. Goes 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. My remainder goes on top. The divisor goes on the bottom, back where I started. 5 into 22 goes 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. My remainder is going to go on top. What was on the bottom? Back where I started, right? Same thing here. C method on 3 and 3/5. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 3 is 18 over what? What I started with. 4 times 5 is 20 plus 1, 21 over what? What I started with. Boom. All right, you double checked even. Good job, you guys. Have a great Aloha Thursday. As we say, thank you in Hawaiian, mahalo.